You want to know how to mess with your players? On a lone and winding country road stands a strange individual. Cloaked in shadows with a single briefcase in hand, he offers the party a choice. Take what's in the case, or double it and give it to someone else. If the party chooses double it and give it to someone else, then the figure disappears, later reappearing with multiple briefcases and offering them the exact same choice again. If they choose to accept his offer, he leaves them the briefcase and warns them not to open it. But you want to know what the real kicker is? This isn't a deal with the devil, he's just a briefcase salesman. You want to know how to mess with your players? Randomly throughout the campaign, ask for a roll. Now keep in mind, the roll has no meaning, so it doesn't really matter what they're rolling for. So if you want to mess with them just a little bit more, tell them to roll the stat that they're most comfortable with. And from now on, at any point, if that roll goes above 30, a mysterious figure emerges from the shadows. He says to the player,
"You've eaten your fill. Now the blood pact must be paid."
Now I want you to know I have no idea what that means, but neither do they. You want to know how to mess with your players? Give them a small black box with a button on the top and a warning not to push it. Now it's only a matter of time before the most curious or the dumbest amongst them decides to press it. Upon pressing the button, a small black bird perches itself on a nearby ledge. Now that small black bird is going to follow them for the rest of the campaign. Just out of reach, but always watching. Depending on who they ask about it, some may say that it's an omen, that it's a curse. But in reality, it's none of those things. The black box just summons birds. You want to know how to mess with your players? Make your dungeon's appearance and layout that of an Ikea. Imagine, if you will, your party making it through this dusty dungeon, and past two large iron doors is just an infinite array of easily assembled furniture. Once they enter, the doors shut behind them and refuse to open. And now the only way the party can escape is to collect the scattered pieces of the Splurtle-Blurtle-Harg hidden somewhere in this maze of linoleum. But the funny part is, much like most Ikea furniture, one of the pieces is just missing. You want to know how to mess with your party? Every so often throughout the campaign, get up and whisper something into a random player's ear. Now keep in mind, it doesn't matter what you whisper, it's just the fact that you're doing that'll probably freak them out. What you whisper can vary from compliments, threats, or a really good recipe for pork cutlet. But the real kicker is at the very end of the campaign, you reveal that it wasn't an extraplanar force whispering in their ear, it was actually just a fan of them that was too nervous to approach. You want to know how to mess with your players? If at any point during a particularly nasty battle, the players reassure themselves that everything will be okay, have them roll deception. You want to know how to mess with your players? While they're on the road, introduce them to a small animal companion. If they're not psychopaths, they'll most likely adopt it, and that's when the fun can begin. In the dead of night, start whispering dark and mysterious knowledge into their ears. That's when you reveal that the party pet is actually a demonic entity. Now the party might be asking themselves, what could this creature want with us? The fact of the matter is, the demon is just lonely and wants to feel unconditional love.
"I was born ceaseless and eternal. There at the dawning light of the universe, I've seen entire civilizations rise and fall!"
Do you want pets?
What kind of question is that? Of course I want pets!
You want to know how to mess with your players? Randomly, while they're exploring an old and forgotten dungeon, tell them that they hear a click underneath their heels. Now the average D&D player will be on edge, investigating for traps, wondering what kind of terrifying mechanism or curse is about to befall them. That's when you reveal that there wasn't a trap at all, they just stepped on a bug. You know what's a messed up weapon to put in your D&D games? Bond Splitter. It's a 2d6 longsword that only does psychic damage. But on a successful hit, a memory of you is removed from all of your loved ones. Which means that if you get hit enough times, you become a stranger to the ones you love the most. There's no punchline, this is just sad. You wanna know how to mess with your players? While you're describing the setting, call attention to things that aren't relevant to the plot, but just happen to be in the general area.
You encounter a group of demons armed to the teeth, standing in formation, and also just like a small cat, like 20 to 30 feet away.
I pet the cat?
Dope.